Yeah, hallelujah. Freedom
There you
reigns.
are.
Yep. How you going, Kate?
Good, how are you? I'll be better if my Skype didn't get hacked today, but there we go. Anyway.
So what happened? Because I got a
Weird, yeah.
an invitation from you.
I know. Yeah, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So a quick note to anyone listening that has Skype, my Skype account got hacked, and I'll be contacting Skype Direct to get it purged because it looks like something viral going around, and go figure they would pick on me. What are the odds? Pretty good, actually, 100% apparently.
Why would they be interested in interfering with you, Kate? Why would they be interested in that now, these morons?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's I speak a little too much truth. I don't know. Maybe I'm really cute. I have no idea. Sarcasm, huh?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well,
it just proves you're winning. That's all.
Yeah, and it also shows that there are still people that are not ready for the big shift that is coming, and they're going to be probably wiped out to oblivion. It's unfortunate that our little brothers, morons who get pay packet to disturb other people from spreading the truth, are actually enjoying that pay packet and get a kick out of what they're doing. It's so sad that these poor entities are going to reap all the karma and delusion which comes from it.
I was going to say they better take that pay packet and cash it and use it up real quick, because it's not going to be very much longer that they're going to be able to use it in any form.
Yeah, they might need to learn how to do some ascension things too. They could start with learning how to wipe their bums, because they still don't even. They're morons. These are morons, man. I mean, we're talking morons that just follow orders. These are absolutely controlled entities. I feel sorry for people in uniforms. They toe the party line, and they believe in their legislation and their fictions, and they illusions, and they inflict punishment on other people in the private because they're working in the public. And they think that somehow by following orders and everything like that, they're indemnified and they're okay. Well, guess what? Not in this universe.
No, and I will say this about it as well, which I think is just as critical. I'm waiting for Mark Hollywood to join us, actually. He's does it all the time. I know, Mark. I know. It's all good, my friend. Anyway, so what I was going to say there.
Anyway, that'll be good, Kate, because I've got a real bad toothache, and I'm going to get a tooth pulled in about 5 hours. I've booked an appointment. Yesterday I did a presentation. I was there from 11 till 5:30, just talking with this toothache. I had a few breaks, but
that's nice.
Just zonked me out. Really zonked me out. But I got a lot of good information out on Syncretism Part 2. It's going to be called Syncretism, the Perennial Philosophy, just to differentiate it from the first part, the True Theology. And then on the 24th of November, I'll do Magnum Opus, Syncretism and the Magnum Opus. Now, it's all saying the same thing, really. They all come under the umbrella of Syncretism, but I've decided to name them differently so that people don't have boring old Syncretism Part 1, Syncretism Part 2, Syncretism Part 3. And man, oh man, Kate, I've busted some biggies. I'll share a few with you and see how much I can talk today.
Okay.
But I'll share a few of the good gems that you're going to get on this one. Okay. So
I'm all ears.
Yeah.
You know me. Bring it home, baby. Bring it home.
Yep. All right. Well, here we go. Now, in Syncretism Part 1, I showed how the scarabus was adored in Egypt because it was the dung beetle, and it would transform dung and roll the ball up the hill, then let it roll down and gather mass, and in so doing, they would protect their eggs in the dung. And these animals, because they rolled this ball up a hill and then let it roll down again, it resembled the sun. But not only did it resemble the sun in its rolling of the dung ball, in many other ways too, because the beetle is said to be self-begotten. And, of course, we know that all the messiahs were the only begotten Son. Jesus was the only begotten Son, born of a virgin. How is this so? Well, we have a beautiful Egyptian philosopher called Horopolo, who lived around about the same time as Boethius when they killed him in the 5th century. Catholicism was firmly implanted. They'd already murdered Hypatia. So Horopolo was risking his life to say this, but it says in his book on the Egyptian hieroglyphs, it says, to denote the only begotten or father, the Egyptians delineate a scarabus. By this they symbolize an only begotten, because the creator is self-produced, being unconceived by a female. Now the youthful manifester of the beetle, God, was this Uemhept, the Egyptian Jesus. So this is what Horopolo wrote 1,500 years ago, Kate. This is very, very powerful. He's not the only one. I've exposed that Saint Ambrose, the Archbishop of Milan, called Jesus the good scarabus, who rolled up before him the hitherto unshapen mud of our bodies. Kepha, the name for scarabus in Egyptian, means to transform. The sun is transforming us.
What was that again?
Kepha. Kepha is the name of Kepha Ray.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, I just had another epiphany moment. All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It all ties home. I know exactly who I am. Look out, system.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The system needs to look out, Kate. If guys like you and I who haven't, you're a musician, I'm a musician. We don't have any, silver spoons in our mouths. We don't have any great PhDs or recognition or anything like. If we can work all this stuff out, you can imagine in the twinkling of an eye when the consciousness shift comes, how many good people are going to get this. They're just going to get it. And what are they going to do when they get it? Watch out for fictions. I say all the foot soldiers that are serving the Vatican through the elite families like the Farnese family, probably the most criminal family in history is the Orsini family, the De Medici. They've had 4 popes on the seat in Rome in the Renaissance period, all killers. Let's see, they're basically all Italian families from Rome, and they are Zoroastrian Egyptian bloodlines that go way, way back, and these families have been hoarding the wealth and consolidating it through intermarriage of royal family bloodlines and money bloodlines, i.e. And what they do is they consolidate their wealth so that they've got a power structure that all their children can incarnate into. They're born with a silver spoon in their mouths. And this is the only thing, this entity, this construct is the only thing that is preventing us from ascension now. Now. And it's the only thing that is preventing the earth from speaking to us pretty much verbally, physically, literally, and telling us how she loves us.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what people need to get. There was an email going around in regards to ascension and whatever, and signs of 2012 and what have you. And of course, as soon as I see the name Drake or Dave Wilcox mentioned on it, it's like, oh yeah, okay, what they're missing the point here is Gaia. Don't mind the train in the background. It's kind of got me distracted. It's been a very, very kind of one of those days. Beautiful in other ways, though. I had a couple of friends visit, Terry and Pat, and just, oh my God, it was beautiful. So, and I am going back out on the speaking game, doing seminars myself again. So that starts very quickly.
Oh, rock and roll! I'd love to do a presentation with you, Kate. Can you imagine the words?
Oh, it'd be fun. It'd be fun.
Yeah. We will make a mockery of legalese, and we'll probably establish English in its positive polarity, so that people can use this language once and for all as a positive instrument.
That's the key. You just handed everyone the key there, and thank you for bringing that up. I keep forgetting to, so thank you. When you make the choice, anyone listening, when you make the choice that everything that you speak is only from your positive intent, you've broken the spell of the language. You've taken all the negative out of it. No more magnetics to you. You are now the positive intent of the language. Now you own it.
Yeah. We are in the not only our thoughts, but the words that come from those thoughts. They're containers. And we are issuing from our mouths powerful thoughts that are affecting changes in the world as we speak. These radio shows are great. You know, it doesn't matter what the buffoons are doing who are listening in and thinking, let's see what we can do to interrupt these guys from getting this rubbish out. You know, we work for the U.S. government, and we bring democracy to the world, and we're a free country, and I've got this uniform, and it allows me to follow all and hurt people with tasers and everything like that. I don't know what happened in Nuremberg. I didn't pay attention when that went by, but I think I should get away with hurting people. So I've got a uniform. I tell you what, look, man, Kate, every breath you breathe in and every word you utter, always, shut the mouth of the stupid ones. Because the stupid ones have been put on pedestals by the banksters and the Orsini family. By the way, the Great Pope, we were talking about the Great Pope last week, it happens to be Pepe Orsini. That's the mother effer that is causing more havoc in the souls of living beings than any other entity on this planet. That's who we need to expose. Pepe Orsini. The Orsini family, man, how many popes have they had? Now, how many animalistic killers have they had in the Inquisition, making sure that people were not reading up on Hermeticism, the true path?
Well, look at his name. PP, okay, another slang name for the winky or the penis. So
will probably be of a very, very insignificant size.
Probably, and then I look at the name Orsini, right? Orsini, right? So you have the or, which is gold, from aura, right? Sin, sine wave of the I. So now that we've exposed the Grey Pope, trying to call himself Papa in a very roundabout way, because E is the yang to A, yin, 6 and 9 in lowercase, reverse. Okay, so let's expose them now and consider it done. And that's you hit the nail on the head, because regardless if anyone hears this or not, it's irrelevant, because the universe hears it. We are the butterflies flapping our wings, causing tsunamis across this universe. We are the keepers of divine truth, and we will keep it safe. And though the heavens may fall, justice be done. Fiat Justitia Ruat Caelum.
Oh yeah, we've discovered our power. Our power is in our speech. They do not like us to speak or think or say anything against their monstrosities. They idolize and worship their monstrosities. You know, when the Lord says unto the children of Israel, figuratively of course, when you go down into the land of Canaan, be sure not to serve their idols. And idols are anything that doesn't really exist. A corporation, where do you find the U.S. corporation? Is it in the Oval Room? Is it in Oval Office? Is it in the White House? Is it on paper? Well, it'd probably be on paper, wouldn't it?
Yep.
And what is that? Is it breathing? Does the paper breathe? It's a corpse. A corporation's a corpse, and people are worshipping corpses. In fact, these corpses are sending sheriffs around to knock on people's doors because they haven't registered their dogs or something like that. You know, they've got to register everything and beg to the government and pay tax for this and pay tax for that. And they send these clowns to harm kings and queens that live freely in this universe. And they think they've got this little badge. You know, I've got this little badge, and I'm going to go and summons a 70-year-old woman, which they did to my mother, for not registering her dog, and that injury that they inflict via their uniforms It's not going to go back to the uniforms when the universe requires retribution. It goes back to the heart that is beating inside the uniforms, the flesh-blood hearts that are actually wearing those stupid-looking, pathetic-looking uniforms that mean nothing to me. Blue, black, whatever, checkered hats. I mean, in Australia they have the Freemason checkered hats, you know, as if they're trying to make like they're Freemasons and clever.
Exactly.
But policemen, as far as I can tell, most of them, I've met some really nice ones, extremely nice, but 90% of them are really retarded in their spiritual development. They have no emotional EQ, or they don't have any EQ as opposed to IQ. They might have IQ in terms of, you know, passing tests and everything like that. They don't know the law. They're violating the law every moment they hop in those clown suits. They are foot soldiers of Rome. They don't know that they are working for a body corporate. Therefore, a body corporate is directing them when they tase someone and potentially kill someone. Killing of anything requires a lot of repayment and retribution in the afterlife, by the way, anyone who's listening, unless, of course, one is totally repentant and totally serving the true. Serving the true and the beautiful and the good, which is how God is described.
Yeah,
and
that's all we have to do. And this is the plea that I make out to everyone out there. You know, I don't care if it's just once a day. If you decide to do something in the truth and knowing that it may not be in your, you know, physical best interest. I'm not saying to go out and look for harm on yourself or anything like that. What you know, it's something as simple as, you know, boxing a signature just because the intent is seen in the act. It's about telling the money that it's worthless. That's all it is. And regardless of what it does in their legal fiction world, I'm not about that. I'm about the intent. Because everything that comes out of creation into the void via intent. And that's what we have to get grips on. That is the divine mind. And that's what we have to come back to terms to. And it's like Deneke Ultimum Revero Verum, which translates into "you must stand in truth." And that's my challenge to everyone out there. Deneke Ultimatum Revero Verum, Fiat Justitia, Ruat Deum. You must stand in truth. Justice be done, though the heavens may fall. That's where I stand. That's why I titled things the way I do, because I mean it when I write it. When I put things, and I'm talking write, R-I-T-E, the ritual. When I write, and I put everything of my heart and soul into it, and that's what carries, and that's what has scared them, and that's why they run from me, because they know you cannot scare me. What are you going to do? Ice me, please? You can't kill the infinite, you morons. And here's the thing, and this is a plea out to those that are on the you know, at the trough of, you know, government coffers and payments. You guys are literally sacrificing your soul. You guys are giving up everything that you think is worth something that is absolutely worthless, and you're giving up your infinite nature. And I got to tell you this right now. What Santo was speaking of in the twin cling of an eye, my eye, you will be gone. You will be no longer. You will have that which you think is real stripped from you, and you have a long way to climb up from there, my friends. If you think you've made it this far, well, you know, this is my compassion to you, to reach into yourself and know the truth within. We're just trying to help you, believe that or not. You know, I can't say it any clearer. That's with the most love and compassion in my heart, that you see what it is that you're doing, and you see what it is you're giving up to do it. Because the karma retribution that you are going to endure, if that's your free will choice, then so be it. I love you for that. I will give you that, because I will never trespass on your right to do what you want. The golden rule says, do unto others as you have them do unto you. And the only thing I wish is that my wishes be granted, so may yours be granted in kind, in balance, in absolute neutrality. You know, so I don't know about you. That sounds like a pretty fair invitation to me. You know?
Yeah.
Come to the light. Come to the light. Be the light.
Spot on, Kate. Yeah. Spot on. And it reminds me of one of my favourite scriptures. And please allow me to just read something from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, because you see a lot of churchgoers are in the same position. They're going around healing people in Jesus' name and witnessing in Jesus' name and doing so many good things. Well, this is what it says in the Sermon on the Mount. This is the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew, the last chapter, chapter 7, and starting from verse 13 all the way to 27, it says, enter by the narrow gate, since the road that leads to perdition is wide and spacious, and many take it. But it is a narrow gate and a hard road that leads to life, and only few find it. Beware of false prophets, who come to you disguised as sheep, but underneath are ravenous wolves. These are your magistrates and your judges. They pretend to be there to help you with their attorneys and prosecutors and clerics and summonses and writs and all of this holy, unholy, inquisitional bullshit. You will be able to tell them by their fruits. Can people pick grapes from thorns or figs from thistles? In the same way, a sound tree produces good fruit, but a rotten tree bad fruit. A sound tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor a rotten tree bear good fruit. Any tree that does not produce good fruit is cut down and thrown in the fire. I repeat, you will be able to tell them by their fruits. It is not those who say to me, Lord, Lord, who will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the person who does the will of my Father in heaven. And by the way, I've explained clearly who the Father is. The Father is the higher mind. It's masculine simply by position, not by gender. It just happens to be that the Father is the ram, Aries the cerebrum. And the cerebellum is the feminine Venetian lunar brain, which is below the solar Martian brain, which is the one that activates the higher mind. And so that's what the Father is. It's not some Humpty Dumpty Uncle God. Oh, Uncle God, I would love to have a BMW because everybody's got a Mercedes-Benz. Uncle God,
Uncle
can
God,
you do me a favour, please? I beg you. And then it goes on to say, did we not, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast demons out in your name, and work many miracles in your name? And I shall tell them to their faces, I never knew you, away from me, you evil men. Therefore, anyone who listens to these words of mine and acts on them will be like a sensible man who built his house on rock. Rain came down, floods rose, gales blew, and hurled themselves against that house, and it did not fall. It was founded on rock. But everyone who listens to these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a stupid man who built his house on sand. Rain came down, floods rose, gales blew, and struck that house, and it fell. And what a fall it had. And so this is it. People think they're standing on rocks and they're building their homes on solid ground, you know, because they're working for a solid corporation. I work for the Victoria Police. I'll do anything, all of their legislation, and I'll inflict that on all of these people. And even though it's registered in New York, so I'm working for New York, and I don't really know why I'm doing that, but I'm going to go ahead and act criminally and see, this is building your house on sand. And then one day the storm will come. Yeah, storms come. Shift happens. They do come. Storms happen. Right? And this is where these morons, whom hopefully we can save with just enough, you know, wisdom and love and what have you, but the house will fall and the wind will come. It will come. And everybody must stand on their homes that they've built, their homes of responsibility and lawfulness. Because when you got to don a uniform on and you see those 18-year-old boys that join Halliburton and go off to Libya and Syria and Iraq, and they see these little mothers walking on the street with babies and they pop their heads off. These are the boys that are damning their own souls, not Pepe Orsini, the great pope, who sits there picking his nose all day long and going around to all his bank accounts in Switzerland, seeing how much gold he's got in there. So the only things that will be left standing are things worthy of standing. And so worthiness is not in a uniform. A uniform means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Just ask the dead, hanged, ex-Nazi, 16 Nuremberg victims. Ask them.
They'll tell you all about it. I had a couple of quick notes here from Hollywood. He's been trying to get into the call, but he's not going to be able to get through. He's just not able to get through. Geez, I wonder why. Yeah, they really don't like us. Welcome to the club. Well, what do you mean, welcome to the club, Mark? Mark and Santo, me, and a whole bunch of others have been in this club for a while. We're used to it. I did have a question from Sun, who I'm hoping will be joining us shortly. She asked, why do you think they are after the Persiana? Which I broke down. I saw immediately it was Persia with the N and the A. Persia being where the truths came out of, N meaning possessive, as in it's mine, Persia mine, and A, which is the mirror of Yang, which is light. Right?
You didn't get the question though, because I didn't hear it. What was the question?
Why do you think they're after the Persiana?
The Persiana, yeah.
So what is your take on that? I'm not. All I saw there really was Persia, and knowing exactly where the holy sciences came from. They came from Persia, so it would only make sense that they'd be after something that contains Persia in it. So, do you know anything of the Persiana?
Well, I assume she's speaking about the empire of Persia, because I mentioned that these family bloodlines are Zoroastrian, and Zoroaster, son of which was the Mithras, and Ahura Mazda, and Ormuzd, and all of these Persian deities. Now, they are just archetypes of Christ. They are the same person. They are the same archetype. But what happened in Persia, just like Babylon, and Assyria, and Egypt, and Rome, and Greece, the Anglo-Saxon world power, is that they, although founded on republics and law and good institutions, they became corrupt through these bloodlines. The bloodlines inserted themselves in slowly over long periods of time and consolidated their power, and now they think that they are at the helm of the New World Order because they have a mission to fulfill what their God orders them to fulfill. And their God is the fictional construct, and it's being dictated to them by these families like the Farnese and the Saxe-Coburg, Gothers, Hanovers, all these families, you know them. You've done your research.
Oh, yeah. All the same bloodlines.
Loads and loads and loads of privileged lifestyles and bank accounts, and you just wonder, how did they get all that money? Well, you need to go back thousands of years and hundreds of years and go back to corporations like the East India Company and the Dutch East India Company and the what's that other one that was selling drugs to the Chinese, and all of those corporations, which now the American military flag is just a rip-off of the East India Corporation, which was killing people for trade for hundreds of years and poisoning people. What they did was, the English Empire was, went into a country and said, "Oh, look, we're really going to help you, and look, here's some medicine. Take this." And lo and behold, spreading plagues on countries in foreign shores, like Columbus did in America, and like they are still doing with vaccinations, and they're even they want to vaccinate. I had a friend yesterday who was who came over. He's a film producer, and he's actually filmed some of my presentations. His name is Amel, and he's from Brave Archer Films. And he came over for dinner, and we edited his new 2012 Crossing Over video, which he interviewed me on, and several others. And he told me that he had a dog, and it was perfectly healthy until he was pressured to vaccinate the dog. Now the dog has got allergies, instantly. The moment he vaccinated the dog was scratching and bleeding, scratching its eyes out, bleeding, and it's on steroids now, and which makes it fat and hungry all the time. And he said, I wish I already knew about conspiracies back then. I already was opening my mind to this corporate fascist, evil oligarchy that's ruling over us. And he said, but I just felt pressured. I just fell for it, and now I really feel sorry for my dog. And this is unfortunate because they put neurological toxins in there deliberately, because if they can get to your pets and make them sick, then those pets will affect you, tire you, and cause you to go and buy their drugs to keep the pets healthy, and now to give them medication because now they've really got something, whereas before the immunisation they didn't have anything. Like me, I've never been vaccinated, I've never had anything. My son's never been vaccinated, he's never had anything. And so, because we have what's called, I think it's called an immune system. I don't know, but I've heard that word before. Everything else that we are all about is pretty perfect. When I can see with my eyes, I can speak with my mouth, I can think with my brain. I think my immune system is still working too, since all the other things are working. So I'll just let it do its work. How about that?
Yeah, I was going to say I couldn't agree more. Sorry, I mute in between just so any extraneous noise here doesn't interrupt the call. No, it's true though, and you look at all the distractions that they, it's not enough that they get you worrying about this payment and that payment, and getting to work and not being late and getting you stressed and putting you on the clock, putting you on the calendar, getting you thinking about holidays, getting you thinking about this, and now they go after our extended family, which are our pets, our most beloved, cherished brothers and sisters, regardless of what shape they're in, fur bearing or otherwise. And again, that's highly stressful because we're also dealing within the auric fields of these other most beautiful creatures, and when their aura gets disrupted, so does yours. So when this is the sad part is, you get told that you're doing something good, that somehow it's going to benefit, and they do such a wonderful job selling this bullshit, and then of course therein comes the guilt, and I'm sure he wasn't feeling too good about the fact that he's given his most beloved pet undue stress and pain and suffering, and now look what happens. He's wearing it as well. So it's another undermine attack into all things pure and good. It's sad. It really is.
Yep, it is, and all because we have forgotten who we are. If we knew that up top we're all connected and we're all of the same consciousness and we are all God, and God experiencing itself through all kinds of strange people on this planet, if all of these strange people, some loving, some angelic, some rebellious, angry, disobedient, haughty, proud, these are all the children of God, the universe, and you cannot remove yourself from the consciousness grid that you, yourself, and all of humanity and animals belong to. So when you inflict suffering on people, you're inflicting suffering directly on yourself. And people can't understand that. They've got no idea, because they don't understand how every particle and corpuscle and wave created by vibrations, the universe's motion, are interconnected. And so when these corporate bosses, these CEOs, they look at their stats and their figures for the month and they go, oh, okay, well, we're a bit low on dog immunisations. Get some letters out to the local councils, put pressure on them, and we've got some good partners that help us sell our stocks, and that way all the investors will be happy, won't they? They've got shares, and they're sharing in this fraud, this Ponzi scheme of believing that they own parts of our corporations. No, they don't. You don't own shares, man. DDTC, the clearinghouse, owns them all, and they let you think that you own stocks. So it's very interesting. I mean, I'm glad that I have no illusions. I wake up in the morning, I've got my guitar, my computer, my beautiful wife, my beautiful dog, I've got my books, and I don't have any money, I don't own anything at all on this planet. Anything. I'm using stuff, I've got a nice computer to use, I've got a nice couch, lots of nice clean things surrounding me, but no fictions, no illusions. When the government writes to me and says, when the ATO, the Australian Tax Office in Canberra, write to me and say, oh, look, if you don't report to us, Mr. Bonacci, we'll take legal action. I just wish they would send us off the paper because, I mean, buying toilet paper is a bit of a nuisance too. You could use that paper to wipe your bum, right? Why don't we try and get that changed? And then all of their papers that come to us, we can use them and effectively, so we don't throw them in the bin, and we can save the forest too. But otherwise, we need to be adaptable and perhaps use the rough paper and learn how to use rough paper. But I'll tell you what, it have to have some use other than throwing straight in the bin, Kate. Got any suggestions? I mean, I used to send them forward to the Attorney General with a lot of explicit language all over the envelope. When I had time, I would just put a sticker on top and say, this is mail fraud, attention Attorney General, and unsolicited mail. And then in pen, I would, 3 or 4 years ago, I used to, I don't know how I got away with it really, I used to write some obscene things on there. I've calmed down a hell of a lot, man. I mean, I wouldn't do that anymore. I stopped. A couple of years ago, I stopped doing it because I thought, no, this is hurting me. I'm writing obscene things on this. I'm telling these people to go and eat things that you shouldn't eat. I'm telling, and exposing this and everything like that. And so, but this is it. They send you lots and lots of papers to distract you. They love it.
Well, that's the thing, Santo, and yeah, I can think of many better uses for paper. And again, I wanted to bring up the word earlier when you were mentioning about Arsolini or whatever the hell his name is. Papacy. Look at pay, pa, see, right? So you got to pay pa, the Holy C, right? And C, again, look what they've tried to steal, love itself, because C is the middle note. It is the middle C of the piano, and C, 528 hertz, is the frequency of love. And C is a representation of the open O of creation, allowing love in and love out. So there you have pay, pa, see. So you're paying with your love. And I just recommend that, you definitely use love and compassion, but don't ever allow anyone to claim it. And Sun's bringing some really good points. When you're dealing like the Hemp Foundation, which is the only sustainable resource in existence, hemp outweighs gold, so gold must go back to the planet. And when you take imagine a transistor radio, you start taking out bits of the components, the metals and what have you. That radio is not going to be as receptive, and it might even actually break down. Being able to communicate, and this is exactly what's been happening, in that with ripping the silver and the gold out of Mother Gaia, and never mind taking the oil out where the tectonic plates use that as lubricant. You want earthquakes? Guess why they're happening, guys, and they're going to be rough. Promise, no oil to lubricate, and Gaia's doing her best to replenish it as fast as she can. That's why oil is it's definitely a resource that we shouldn't be using, but it's constantly being created by Gaia, and she's under a lot of stress right now. So we can all do Gaia a favor by, maybe not driving so much till we get the Kesha technologies out, where we're dealing with electric cars, dealing with magnetic maglevs and what have you. Just to do it, think twice about it, because every time that you're using that, you're adding to the burden of Gaia. And I would ask that you start thinking of that which is keeping you alive and that you are connected to completely. Without Earth, without Gaia, you have no life. These meat sticks drop, and regardless of what you, the God, who is in a very, very low level of creation right now, based on our own duping and our own ignorance, you're going to be hard pressed to, have a life form to, work with. And that's what we're trying to do. We're literally trying to save ourselves here, guys. So I would highly recommend that you start thinking outside of the normal box of how the system wants you to think, and start thinking in terms of your own survival, because how you change your universe is whether or not you will survive. And there are a lot of major changes coming up, and not everyone's graduating here, guys, and you have to get your heart right, and all you have to do is be on the 51% side of truth. I'd hope that you'd be on the 100%, but hey, we're all human having, or we're all spirits having a human experience, and we are prone to certain fallibilities based on the game we're playing. But I would ask that, you stand in truth. You'll know what it is, because you'll be asked to make a decision or something, and instead of making it to your best interest, look for the truth and how it affects and benefits all. And that would be a good place to start. I know many of you listening are already doing that. Just ramp it up a bit more, because we have this game now.
Okay. Yep, consciousness is king, said Plotinus 1800 years ago, and he was a Neoplatonist, and consciousness, in other words, there's another expression that the Christians were kicking around saying Christ is king. Same stuff. So let's be conscious. Let's get on the narrow road, which is hard and cramped to walk on. It's not easy. And if anyone knows that, it's you, Kate. You've walked it, the hard. You've had the last year. I mean, wow.
Yeah, they came at me pretty hard.
Yeah, and these are people who are on the broad and spacious road that the scriptures say lead to destruction and perdition. It's very, very unfortunate. It really, really is. There's some great souls out there that are not going to cut the grade. I'd be treating ascension very scientifically. There's a scientist, great man called Maurice Cotterell, and have a look at his Super Gods video presentations, how he talks about how important it is that we have a high and a good vibration karmically now for what's coming, because he knows the science of the solar system. He knows there's big changes coming, and he's a very, very, very good engineer and scientist. He's a big name, and basically he's explaining the solar science is exactly the same way as I am, and exactly the same way as it should be, which is pure biblical and astrological science. And so, yeah, time to get that vibration arising, folks. If you're listening, and if you're sitting on the fence, or you don't know what to do, it's easy. Live for truth, not for the truth, like the Jehovah's Witnesses do. Oh, I'm in the truth. I've been in the truth for 40 years, knocking on people's doors. The reason why they're instructed to call it the truth is because that's what it is. It's not truth that they serve. They serve their subjective, invented fictions that they agree to.
And their money masters.
Yeah. The governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses are a bunch of pedophiles. Just check out the website hiddenlands.com, and you'll see the photos of all the pedophiles that they harbour, just like the Catholic Church, because churches are pedophile clubs. Just in case you haven't suspected that yet, you might want to just do a little bit of checking around the internet and find every single Christian denomination is riddled with pedophiles. Because if Christianity, well, what they call Christianity today, if they turned around and said, how about we fix this pedophile problem and just put notice on our front doors and on our gates that all pedophiles will be prosecuted in the correct way by the law of the land, rather than senior pedophile members of our inner sanctum, correcting exposed and pedophiles that are found out in our midst, and slapping them on the wrist and sending them downstream to another diocese, and sorting all this pedophile business out in-house, we're going to have an official policy of honesty, and we're going to eliminate pedophilia in our church by implementing this great idea of prosecuting them in the proper way. Well, guess what? They will never do that. That is an option that is absolutely... They've had 2,000 years to change this policy of theirs about looking after their pedophile boys in their organisations. And I've got Kevin Annett on Tuesday night on American Freedom Radio, folks. You might want to tune in.
Actually, I wouldn't mind even sitting in on that one with you. I haven't talked to Kevin in ages. I'd love to be part of that.
Yeah, call in, and or you can even we'll make a three-way. But the thing is, these are people that are actively now taking action in their own hands, and he's calling for boycotting their churches, disrupting their services, just disrupting their businesses everywhere we find them. And basically they are all corporations under the umbrella of the Vatican. And we need to disrupt their businesses, and we need to shut them down through consciousness.
Oh, and just to let you know, the word prosecute that most people don't understand, the word prosecute or prosecutor means to do not pursue. You see, that's why they're looking for controversy. You see, because when you have a prosecutor that their title says that they're not to pursue, then that's how they maintain the prosecution honor. We're not pursuing because you've come in here willingly. So that's how they get away with it, and that's one of the reasons why I know the prosecutor that couldn't look me square in the eyes even when I told him he was a coward and he wouldn't look at me. He knew what he was doing. They know what they're doing. Not all of them, but many of them do. I would say the vast majority don't, but that doesn't absolve them of the crimes by omission or commission, you see, because here's the joy of truth, and this is why I love planting seeds everywhere I go. Just a little nugget of truth that people can chew on, and of course it triggers in the Akashic, and they get downloaded, and then they start wondering why they're feeling guilty about things. It's because when you plant seeds of truth with love and compassion, to let them know. That's all this takes, just to let them know. Now it's their responsibility. They haven't got plausible deniability anymore. And that's what this is all about. And not only that, once the plausible deniability has been exposed that they don't have it anymore, that's where we turn around and say, just like the farmer out west in Canada took on Monsanto and finally decided to turn the table saying, listen, before I take my crop to harvest, what I'm going to do is check my land for any Monsanto poisoning or trespassing on my property, and I'm going to get them to come and remove before I do any harvest. And it makes them liable for it. So what he's effectively done is used the same tool they were using by trying to claim the crops, because it was our stuff growing there. Well, yeah, your stuff's growing here, but you're trespassing, so I need you to come and remove it before I harvest. Because what Monsanto was doing, just to show you what these scumbags are like, as soon as it was discovered that Monsanto stuff, whether it had been carried by a bird or on the wind or whatever, got onto a crop, as soon as the farmer cast the crop in, Monsanto, and this was a number of fixed court cases where Monsanto was became entitled to all the profit of the farm. So we just need to turn these things around. So if somebody comes at me with fraud, well, that's no problem. I have the documents information, not so much documents, but the information to send back to them, alongside with failure to comply with this, will only led me to have to file a motion for intent to commit fraud against me, and I'll be taking you to trial for it. And this is how we own them, by their own game. And it's peaceful. It's about calling the bond bluff. and then let him know if this isn't true. No problem. We'll sort this out because I'm going to be filing charges of fraud fraud with intent against you. And remember, the crime is not the crime; it is the intent to commit the crime. And this is where people really have to step back out of their meat sticks. And I really need you to get this, and I need you to dwell on this. The intent is always senior to the act. And I will give you an example. It's a very harsh one, but it's a very real one that might sink in and why I like using these. If you had the intent to kill someone, it is irrelevant whether you hang them, run them over with a bus, shoot them, stab them, drown them, poison them, whatever way that you end up committing that act, if you ended up following it through, it was not the act that was the murder, it was the pre-crime, the intent that you had to do that. So that's why they don't focus on how, they're more focused on the why. And that's why they're looking that's why you have different levels of murder. You have involuntary manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter, second-degree murder, third-degree murder, premeditated murder. And that's the toughest one to prove, because what you literally have to do is prove what they were thinking. And it is all about the intent. That's why I'm telling you, when you box signatures, regardless of what any legal rule says, I need people to get their head out of this legal government rectum mind. Get your heads out of the legal ass that you have it shoved up, and start understanding that it is all about intent. Get out of the anal light, I call, okay? Instead of being one to have anal ISIS, get into the game and understand that it is only and will ever only be about the electrical manifestation of intent. That is the masculine that is being thrust into the void of the creative feminine. Okay, so it is all about intent. You can look any case up, it is all about intent. What is your intent? Well, my intent now is to call you out. And the intent is senior, always senior to the act.
Yep. Of course. You can accidentally kill someone that was entirely their fault. No intention. So
exactly.
So it has to be willful. That's the only thing that's punishable in the universe, causing harm, injury, or loss to another life form. Anything that's conscious.
Yeah.
And this is why. This is why wanton killing, unnecessary killing, is causing this planet not to ascend either. When you look at abattoirs and animals and so far that are being harvested, it costs 10 times as much to grow a cow and feed a family with a cow than it does to have, some grains or some vegetables and fruits. It costs literally 10 times as much. So this thing about packing farms and abattoirs with animals, and the French pack they have geese that they hook up to a hose, and the geese live in a box, and these geese are like 3 times overweight, but their mouths are permanently attached to a hose which is just feeding sloppy sludge food into the goose's mouth, and they've got no choice, they've got nothing else that they can do other than eat this sludge and poo, and then when their livers are all nice and puffed up and soft, the French go out and they have their liver pâté. And it's such a great civilization, the French civilization. And all of these geese, there must be gazillions of them because they love their pâté. And I've seen pictures of these geese. They've got backsides as big as an elephant's, bleeding and pussy. But the livers are soft and big, and you can get a lot of pâté out of those livers, regardless of the suffering. But you see, this is what man does, He is excessive in his lust for flesh because he cannot eat higher vibrating foods. The lowest vibrating foods are the flesh of beasts. Unconscious beasts, too, by the way.
Yeah, you are what you eat, yeah. I had that discussion. This is critical, actually, what you're bringing up right now, Santo. This is the reason why I am a vegetarian, and you as well. You are what you eat. Now, I had this discussion today, and everyone loves their steak. Everyone loves their, Chateaubriand, or whatever, okay? But I have to bring it forward to you. Imagine yourself being the 10th cow in the lineup of 10 being slaughtered, and watching all those in front of you as you get herded down to the bolt gun that you know is going to wipe your life out. And just imagine the amount of fear that is getting riveted into each one of those cells, because we are fractal. Every ounce of fear that creature is going through, that terror and that knowing it's going to die, that is getting, literally infused into every cell of its being. When you throw that on the Barbie, you're going to eat it. You're eating the fear. You're eating low consciousness. You're eating everything that animal went through. And I bet you didn't bless and remove all that negative energy before you did it. And really, there is a way to do it, but I tell you, I make it easy for myself. I just don't. And boy, your mind clears up big time, real fast when you get off the stretch of the lower consciousness animal eating. Imagine eating your pet. Okay, it's all the same. I don't care whether you call it a chicken, whether you call it a pig. And there's the worst one. You mentioned earlier in the hour there, Santo, that about the East India Company and all the rest of it. The reason why they brought up eating fish on Fridays was to get their traders off of the long pork. And long pork, just so people know, long pork was human flesh. They would kill slaves and eat them, and that was an insatiable appetite that they had on that, and that was why they introduced eating fish on Fridays, to at least break up one day of the week where they weren't eating human flesh. And pigs, just so you know, if you love your bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, guys, you are eating the closest thing to human flesh. That's why they call human flesh long pork, and that's why we use insulin from pigs for diabetes, which is something that is completely curable without the insulin, and that's why they can use a pig's heart to transplant into a human chest. Now, can you imagine the actual life spark of that being that had their very essence in their heart removed and a pig's heart put in? When you take the heart out, you have effectively taken out the spirit out, the sun that was there. That's why, and you've heard the story, Santo, where people get a heart transplant and all of a sudden their personalities change. It's because with the old heart gone, that being got moved out, and the one that was in another body got transplanted into the new one, and it takes over because the heart is senior to the mind in all ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's science.
Yeah, let alone the fact that these animals are filthy. They've been vaccinated with all sorts of shit. They're eating contaminated grass because it's got all sorts of disgusting fertilizer and boosters they put in there. I've seen the crop dusters. When I grew up in the country, they come down with their DDT and all of these sprays, and all of a sudden the green grass just grows lush and thick, and the cows love it, but it's got booster in it. And then, of course, they put preservative in the meat to keep it nice and red and fresh smelling, and they put, they're injecting it with bleach and stuff, and it's not the same. It's not real meat. And let alone the suffering of these animals cooped up in cages. And I've seen pig farms and the way they treat the pigs. The pigs have got sores all over their bodies. They're biting each other. They're fighting. They live in darkness. They don't see much light. They eat the same food day in, day out. They cannot go out and look around and stroll around. This is absolute abject cruelty. It's unforgivable. It is unforgivable. And just to shut down these corporations that are doing this would be a good reason why you'd want to steer toward foods that are much more digestible. You can't digest meat, and you can't get iron out of it, and you can't get protein out of it, because the human body can't do that. Yes, they might tell you the half-truth that red meat has iron and protein, but your body is not going to benefit from it because it can't get it. It can't extract it. All it can do is allow that meat 7 days access to toxify your body, because it takes that long to go through your system, whereas apples and vegetables and fruit, it's a matter of hours. Meat is not like this, and the toxins that are generated are the reason why people are getting old and dying. You know, they look old, they look flat, you can tell what they're eating. They're eating dead food.
Yep, and I just wanted to give another quick announcement. My Skype account got hacked today with a redirect. Apparently, I didn't see it, but apparently it's some asshole looking for money. My Skype account got hacked. So ignore anything that you get from my old Skype account and delete the account as quick as you can, please. I would greatly appreciate it. It's another one of these silly little games that they like to play. I mean, this is the worst they got, okay, guys? So please, I mean, think of the pitiful nature of these dopes. Let's just be annoying. And that's all it is now. It's like having a mosquito buzzing around. Eventually, the mosquito's going to get slapped, and it won't be me doing it. That's the joy of the universe, eh, Santo? That which ye sow, so shall ye reap. So, obviously, if you're wishing to harm someone, then you are wishing harm upon yourself. That's okay. I grant you your wish. Go ahead. All those that wished harm upon me and my family and my friends and what they have done to the living divine light of creator essence that I am, you just came up against the universe on that one. And we all have laws that we all live under, natural, universal, cosmic creator laws that none shall pass. Those are what keep our game going. We had to come up with something to keep us, in this game, where we, the dream of ourself. We are just the imagination of ourself. But I just wanted to get that out, Santo. Sorry about that. Very annoying, right?
Yeah, while we're on this subject, I need to also expose some shonksters. I've done this before. I've exposed a certain David Symington from the Simeon clan. He still hasn't gone away, so I'm going to have to deal with him, because I still get letters from people saying that David Symington still sends newsletters weekly notifying them that Santos Bonacci will be joining him in his so-called spiritual webinars. And these are people that he stole off my email account when he offered to, quote, help, unquote, me. And he did so by remote team viewer in the around about a year ago, sort of September, October last year. And he actually crashed my computer twice in a week. He did that deliberately because he had to implant his own software in there, which would cause him to act, which he instructed me to do. Leave it on at night, he says, because I work till 4 a.m. I'm a he likes to tell people that he's like this James Bond helicopter flying Secret Service dude who works with an Asian consortium who are going to bring down the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds with their finances and bring about a world peaceful currency, you see. Now, he tells people that, but what he's actually doing, he tells them that because when he's on the computer hacking into people, he works with a network of people all around the world. Some of them are his family, his sons. And they access your computer and they steal money from your account. This is why it's very dangerous that you have anything to do with David Symington. You can just punch in his details on Google and you'll see his career criminal record. He's an ex-jailbird. And the man absolutely adores me. He worships me and loves me because it appears that he cannot send any notifications out to his mail list about anything that he's doing unless he mentions his hero, Santos Bonacci, because that's probably the card that brings people into his webinars when he sits there and croaks, makes croaking noises like a frog, because he's a charlatan and he vomits out stupidities and obscenities. And you can imagine the disappointment when people join the webinar and there's no Santos Bonacci where they could learn some real truth. They've got to listen to his vomit. Not only does he look like looks like a Queensland sugarcane toad. Okay? They've got fat head. And that's what... you see, when he sends out his newsletters to people, half of his face is missing. You only see the left side of his face. You see, this is what criminals do, that you can't... he wouldn't have his whole face, because if he did show that, people would sense, like dogs sense evil auras, people would sense that this guy is a pathetic scumbag and a charlatan. So what he does is he hides his face, half a face, even a quarter of a face. You can just see like the edge of his eye and his cheek. And he calls himself David Simonton, and Santos Bonacci is going to join me, and we're going to talk about spiritual things. I wonder how he imagines that he's even on a spiritual plane. I mean, I've got no idea how he does that. But he's got his nose so far up my bum cheeks, and I've never had anyone have their nose up there in my life. I've never had someone worship me so much. And I'd like to thank him for the adoration, but it's makes me a little bit uneasy, that I'm not that good. You don't have to...
A bit creepy, yeah.
Yeah, and every day I do go to the toilet, so that explains why he is vomiting shite from his mouth to unsuspecting buffoons. So, sorry folks, if the sound of what he's talking about doesn't smell or sound too good, that's because he's digesting the wrong information. And I don't think he'll ever find the right information, because he's not that way inclined. He's a criminal. He's a criminal-hearted, lower-minded beast, and I do need to get that out, people, because not that he worries me, nothing worries me. He's going to be sorted out, and retribution, because he's basically violated the only law that exists. He's continually doing harm to me and trying to do harm to my reputation, my good name, and that's harm. So that's what it is. Here's my affidavit. Here's my statement to the world. I'm going to use this audio file and many more. I'll expose him on American Freedom Radio. I'll expose him everywhere, because that's what I do. I expose criminals, and I have fun. It's fun.
It is, actually. You're right.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun, because they've had their day, but they still think they're in their glory days when they can get away with it, but they just have to realise that they can't now. And retribution, it's a-coming. And when someone hurts you, Kate, you own their backsides in the afterlife. So I've got me a good little donkey to carry my loads in the afterlife, and I'll just make a good whip. And it's going to be fun, because that's how in the ancient days the Romans acquired slaves. You see, and they would beat their slaves, and the slaves would do everything that their masters wished. So it seems that David is subjecting himself to my backside and worshipping it like no one ever in the history of this universe. I've never had a girl adore me so much. I wish I did. One of my girlfriends or my wife. I know my wife loves me, but she would never love me as much as David does and use my name to glorify her name. She leaves my name intact because she's decent. So, folks, if you are receiving, and I know you are, if you are receiving newsletters from David Simonton of the Simeon clan, either just ignore them or block them, or join the webinar service, and you might want to just, get involved in the chat. And you can just put true things in the chat, like, for instance, David Simonton is a pedophile, because he actually is, and I've said it. Yes. I've had people from Belgium. I've had a friend of mine, Andrew, whom he knows. Andrew is, I won't mention Andrew's second name, but Andrew put him in jail in the first place a few years ago for 6 months because of stealing money from Andrew. Andrew's a good friend of mine. And Andrew tells me that he loves little children, like he has a special fondness for them. And a Belgian man told me that, and 6 or 7 very, very discreet women that have discovered this truth. And you will find that rather than working for an Asian consortium, David is conspiring with his criminal little sons all around the planet. And I have people that will support me too, by the way. Not that I'm going to ask that, and I will never need to, because my word is good enough. I've got plenty of people that will support me that he stole money from their credit cards, and that it was him and his sons. One of his sons is in Portugal. He goes by the name of Santos, pretending to be me. And what they do is they get unsuspecting morons that go to the webinars, and they, after the webinar is over, they get their details, write to them, offer their internet fixing, quote-unquote, internet fixing help services, and what he does, in fact, is he steals all their files, and away we go. He has an income of money. He's a criminal. David Simonton is a criminal. He's a charlatan. He's a pedophile. And he's a human beast. Because, how do I know that? Because human beings do not resort to any of this behaviour. Human beings are in the light. This is probably why David Simonton, in every second breath, talks about the dark agenda. The dark agenda, the dark agenda are coming, and they're evil. The dark agenda. I mean, I don't know how many times in a webinar, I've only heard 2 of his webinars, but I don't know how many times he uses that word. He loves darkness. Slave of darkness. And if you're listening, Fathead, Queensland sugarcane toad of the Simian clan. Obviously, he's got a bit of toad also, so he's got the Toad clan, and is very proud of it, obviously. If you're listening, you are a moron, and you're exposed. And I hope a lot of people have a laugh about it. I'm sorry to have to talk about these negative things. I allowed the first hour to be free of negativity and to be free of these things, but house cleaning and housekeeping also needs to be done when you are in the limelight and when you are sincerely offering all of your energy. All of my waking hours go to helping people and sharing with them truths that will free them and save them. And I have thousands and thousands of letters from all around the world, people telling me how they've benefited from my presentations. They are calmer, happier. They have had Kundalini experiences. They are peaceful. They are ascending. Their health is growing. They are doing solar gazing and walking on dirt barefoot. They are putting their tongue up against their palate bone, meditating. And in general, I get thousands and thousands of emails and feedback in a very, very positive light. I do not get any negative at all, whatsoever. None at all. I haven't had any negative. The only negative thing that comes my way is from the Simian. And so I'd like to share with people that in my waking hours, this is what I do. So please support the light and support people like Kate and myself and Tony and Pete who really don't have corporate jobs and streams of income and are just spending all of their time to explain truths, unlike these charlatans who are pretenders. Time to expose them and time to move on. What do you think about that, Kate?
I couldn't agree more, and you know where I stand on that. And I did a show with Tony on Friday on These Changing Times radio.ning.com for those who need to know. Times with a Z. Anyway, I went through the list of high-profile British pedophiles. You know, Gordon Brown, Tony Blair, with that creepy guy Jimmy Savile. they're all creeps, Edward Heath. The list goes on and on. We're talking lords of the House of Lords. And of course, you go back to that. I love it, the movie Bank Job, and how they all reacted when the lords that were playing around in the body houses got exposed, and excuse me, as a result of Princess Margaret, who had some nasty photographs taken of her back in the 70s. And everything falls into place. It's like what we're dealing with here are a bunch of monsters,
Yeah. They're monsters. They're pretenders. Full shit, but they're on the vast, spacious road. And so all we need to do is love ourselves first, our God and our neighbour, which is all one anyway, and we love taking that choice and buying good riddance. You can always repent and change paths and join the ascended ones. Otherwise, stay in that lower mind and go and acquire your SUVs who do not belong to you but who are owned by the moth and rust. And go and acquire properties. I believe houses are made of wood and stone. I think the elements own those too. I believe that investment portfolios and the stock exchange is all a fiction. So they've got a lot of that. Congratulations. All the best to you. Tony? Anytime you like. You can do it now if you like.
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit. I did want to bring this to everyone's attention as well. Anyone that has a mortgage on their property or any house that has a mortgage on it, a death pledge, they're all abandoned properties because the dead can't live in a house. And if a mortgage was signed with the dead fiction, that house is actually abandoned. So you might want to go down to your local deed registry office as a living being and find out what you have to do to put in a proper claim as a living being against that property that you thought was yours, but it's not by virtue of the contract of the dead entity. Just thought I'd share that with everyone. We're working on a couple of things for everyone. Isn't that, hey, think about it, guys. You don't own the bank account, so you certainly don't own the house, regardless of the mortgage that was signed on it. That's why everything always reverts back to the fiction. And again, we're just going to keep peeling layers off of this for everyone to start thinking about. If you have a mortgage on your house, it's abandoned. And until you correct your status, as in being a living being, going in and making a proper living being claim on that property, the fictional bank, who has no sense or substance, owns the property, which has no sense or substance and title only. And this was the wedge driven between the living and the dead. So you must be born again, guys. And I mean, I don't know how many times it was brought forth in truth. We just, again, the religions of the world have totally bastardized that notion. And we've done it with the Denique Ultimatum, with being born again, realizing that we're not a dead fictional person. And, you remember the Denique, Santo? We had some fun with that.
Oh, yeah.
And again, we keep peeling it to the next level. You cannot own anything. If you are an owner, you are full liability, right?
Yeah.
And actually, while we're on the air here, I'm meeting with someone in Skype to try to correct the nonsense and get word out to everyone to ignore the hack. But I will say that if anyone gets a redirect, hesma.info, that was the redirect that slashed my Skype. And the unfortunate part with me is, with regards to contacts, I get them all the time, and I always, check profile first and whatever, and as long, and of course clicking on it was all I had to do. And unfortunately, the nature of my business of being open to all, in terms of I'm here if you need me, on occasion I get, this is the kind of stuff I have to deal with. So, so I'm just writing thank you for helping. this is crazy, you know. So again, I'm at the mercy of the universe here, you know. So it is what it is, and those. Oh, here we go. Patrice just. Oh, there we go. Did you see the article where 15 states petitioned to secede from the USA yesterday? See, it's all crumbling down.
Oh yeah, it is, Mr. Orsini and Mr. Hans Kolvenbach and Mr. I think he calls himself Benedictine. I would say Pope Benedict needs to change that to Pope Malevolent. You know, because you just have to take one look at his head and you know. But that guy, I don't know how many little boys he has in his pants a day, but he would have a good fresh supply of little boys. And
when you're done Santa, when you're done this, let me know, because I gotta bring. Don't let me forget. I gotta bring something else to the table with regard to the pedophiles and what have you. So carry on.
Go. Let's expose pedophiles. They're the worst animals on the planet. What else are we here to do?
Okay. Well, I gotta tell you, I was raped for pretty close to 9 months when I was 12, 13 in the Sea Cadets in Ireland. So I would urge any parents that have any of their children in cadets to do a thorough investigation into all the entities that are involved, especially if they're retired, and just be diligent. And that includes, you know, Girl Guide leaders, Scout leaders, any of these, because it's always people in positions of trust that end up being. And that's not to label everyone. No, not at all. There are some beautiful, benevolent people out there doing the right things. And because they will not be offended. You know, seriously, the true ones have your child's best interest at heart, and this is about exposing those that are pedophiles, and this is how we do it. So I want to do that. You know, cadets or any of those organizations that you leave your kids off to for extended periods of time, and it doesn't matter, male or female. It happens to all of us. So I just wanted to share that. Your turn. Are you there, Santo?
Oh, yep. Oh, sorry. I was muted.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and there are the churches like the Jehovah's Witnesses who are famous for pedophilia. I was in that organisation for most of my life, and the Catholics. If you have any inclination of even supporting these organisations or being a part of them, even nominally, because a lot of Catholics are just nominal Catholics, they're not practicing, get out, because you're a bloody idiot if you attach your godliness to that word, Catholicism. Because Catholicism is the God of this world. It's the fictional God of this world that Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons alike, all do obeisance to, because they all teach the bullshit story of a vicarious Redeemer. Well, what a crock of shit. Where does that come from? That comes right out of the minds and hearts of imbeciles, because imbeciles need redeemers. Mummy, please wipe my bum. I did some poo in my pants. I'm incontinent. Jesus is in the cloud over there. Oh, he's riding on the white horse. And he's going to save my butt. People, if you're a Catholic or a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon or a Seventh-day Adventist or any of those blasphemous pedophile rings, you're an idiot and you're a moron and you are forewarned. And don't pay attention to all the warnings in my presentations. I've exposed them all. They are not Christianity. I teach Christianity. I teach truth about the Holy Scriptures in my presentations, because I teach astrotheology, syncretism, the holy science, the magnum opus, the perennial philosophy, the prisca theologia, and the true theology. And these pastors and ministers have got no idea about the stars. They are a pack of liars and deceivers and pedophiles and rapists and murderers and unevolved. And get out of Babylon the Great if you do not want to share with her in her sins. Baba comes from father, comes from hierarchy, comes from manipulation, patriarchy, climb the corporate ladder, we screw you, bend over, here is a big red, white and blue dick, just like George Carlin said, bend over some more because it's getting fatter and bigger and we need to insert it. Folks, say no to religions and churches and churchianity and Christendom. If you want to be smart, get out of Christendom because they've dumbed them down. Churchgoers are smacked out on Prozac, Zoloft, Xanax, fluoride, aspartame, and Jesus loves sugar-free chewing gum. We're all chewing on it, and we've vaccinated our children because the pastor told us that the government is put in place by God. You see, God has got a controversy with the devil. And so, until such time as he sorts that out, we vaccinate ourselves because the government wants us to do that and put mercury in our children. We pay taxes to the IRS, which is a foreign agency, and we go to court with a liar or a lawyer because we're too stone motherless stupid and know diddly squat about law, which is our responsibility. The onus is on us to know the law of God. Didn't Jesus say, I came to fulfill the law? And then didn't he say, woe to you lawyers? Because lawyers deal in legalities. And they don't deal in law, people. They deal in legalities. They're confused. Because they're morons. They're all morons. Yeah, anyway. There's my little rant, Kate.
It's so good. I just love listening to your little rant. I'm trying to remember when I first set up my Katie Renee Thompson site. It would have been early 2011. I'd say May. I'm guessing here.
And by the way, call yourself a Catholic. You are a pedophile. Period. If you call yourself a Jehovah's Witness, you are a pedophile. Period. If you belong to any corporate Christian church, you will be accused as a pedophile at the end of days. It's time to get out. And this warning I utter from my lips because I dread that a lot of people are just not getting it. They're just not getting it. I dread that people are on the fence and they're thinking, oh, yes, but I'll hedge my bets here. And, I mean, it's, you know, there's good people in the church and they've got hospitals and charities and they're doing all these good things. Of course they are. Satan the devil is an angel of light. What that means is the evil ones don't come to you and say, hey, I'm an evil dude, contract with me. No. They come with goods and services and privileges and benefits. They come with all of those things. Sign here, you can get all these things. Sign away, please. We've got benefits. Come to this church. There's benefits. We save you. Jesus comes in the cloud on this church. He doesn't come on the Jehovah's Witnesses. They think, all right, okay, they think they're going to be saved. We know that, but they're not. They're going to hell. Just we Mormons are going to be saved because we've got special panties. We buy our panties at the right lingerie shop, you see. It's got wool in it. And we're all nice and warm, and you've got to have the right underwear to serve God. You know, look, these guys are sick. They're a bunch of sick idiots, and it's got to be called out. It has to be said. Who's going to say it? I don't hear many people saying it, so I'm doing it. And you know what? I think people who are enlightened, the portioned part of humanity, have already gotten it, of course, and they probably are fed up with, you know, having to take a step back and do the negative stuff. They'd probably, you know, want positive remedies all the time. But this is the world we live in, people. We've got to address, you know, you've got to address and know about the nature of evil. You must know your enemy. Any general that goes off with his 400,000 army fighters, and he doesn't know anything about the enemy that he's going to combat against. He is a criminal and an irresponsible fool to send his 400,000 boys into the field of war, because he doesn't know any. He's got no strategies. He has no knowledge, advanced knowledge. He hasn't sent spies in to spy out their strategies. He hasn't done any research or anything, but he's confident and he's cocky and he's going to beat the army. Well, many a general has failed in history, and their names have been defiled, and when those names are uttered, people remember them with shame, and they left a legacy of shame because they didn't study their enemy and they didn't know anything about their enemy and the nature of their enemy. Our enemy is ignorance, and all the buffoons who serve ignorance and adore it and pay obeisance and bend their knee to it. Uniformed people usually. Get rid of the uniforms, number one, please. You got a uniform, you are... I don't know what to say. I don't have words. I mean, ooh, that's all I can say. Ooh, you've got a uniform on? It looks stupid. And what's this badge? And what's that bullshit? Ooh. I mean, yucky. Uniforms? Hey, man, I mean, I've never worn anything that has a label on it. You have people kick around with their Nike shirts and their Nike runners and everything like that. No, thank you, man. I buy my shoes from the local cobbler. I buy my shirts from honest people. And I buy clothes that do not support any corporations, man. You won't see me with a baseball cap, supporting Adidas. Anyone with these types of clothing promoting corporations are they look stupid. They look stupid to me, and they look stupid to most of the ascended wise portion of humanity on the earth. So, and you're only buying clothes and items that are supporting their plastic corporations even further. So there you go. What say ye, Kate?
I'm just sitting here listening, trying to work this out with the Skype as well. So it's I'm having quite a bit of fun here. Again, people have just got to start to wake up to the fact that we've all been slaughtered. We're all getting duped left, right, and center, and we're all letting people get away with crimes that they shouldn't be getting away with. And all we have to do is to change that balance is to stand in truth. That's it. We just have to stand in truth, and it's not rocket science, guys. It's actually very, very easy. So, I was really hoping that Sun was going to call in tonight. Maybe this might help urge her to give a shout. Just again, still trying to get this sorted out. I've got a Skype service rep locating stuff. And by the way, the individual that hacked my site added 3 J's to the back end of it. So if you see Cygnus Trumpets JJJ with a space between trumpets and JJJ, that is not me. It's got my photograph on it. And by the way, it's someone in it's 2:34 a.m., so it's Greenwich Mean Time +1. Okay. Apparently to them, and it's saying Canada, but the time, you can't hide the time on these things, and it's still got set up as do not disturb. So I just want to give people a heads up. I mean, this is absolutely ludicrous. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I am a bit distracted here at this point, Santo, but I have been listening, and you're just on a beautiful tear right now. So all I can feel is the flow, the love. It's beautiful. Exposing these guys, and there is much love in exposing the crime, because when the crimes are exposed, the criminals have nowhere to hide, and this is what I'm urging people to do. Get photographs of these pedophiles. They're all online, and start printing out pictures with wanted for crimes against humanity, and just start sticking it up around your neighborhood. Innocuous, doesn't matter, just throw it up, because eventually it's going to get spotted. Someone's going to see it, and it's putting it, again, it's the intent, it's the action of exposing these guys and girls that are literally stealing our life breath. You know. So.
All the listeners, go to silentlambs.org and share that website far and wide, and have photos of all the so-called brothers that are pedophiles that are still in that organisation, for when the Jehovah's Witnesses knock on your door, and help them and say, look, this is what's really going on in your organisation. Be active. Get that website out there. It's a beautiful website, and it's exposing criminals. These are criminals that hurt little children. This is crime. This is absolutely outrageous that we are on this planet with these entities. The same planet. It's outrageous. It's unspeakable. It's so obscene in this universe that it's gotten the attention of the whole universe. The stupidity that is going on this planet. The stupidity. There are extraterrestrials and entities everywhere looking on, marveling at the stupidity that all of these to Pepe Orsini, when he gets together with his pedophile Club of Rome, the Bilderbergers, Knights of Malta, Knights Templar, the Swiss Templars, and all the Knights of Columbus, Knights of St. John, and all these animals. It's just outrageous that we are following the directives that come from their think tanks. I mean, these people are killing little babies by raping them and slitting their throats and drinking their adrenal fluids in the morning, and then in the evening they're out in the public officiating and poncing around with all their riches and red garb and glory and their purple and all of their royal porphyry, and they get around in all this pomp, and they've got blood on their faces. These people live off sacrificing little children. Now, a lot of people are going to get stumbled at that, and what I say to that is, well, I feel sorry for you if you haven't done enough research to work out that that's where all our missing children are going. It's a fact that most of the children end up under the Vatican in those catacombs, and Benedict will be officiating on many a slaughtering and many a sacrifice. They constantly need blood in those Mithraic catacombs of Rome, and they get their blood. They get it. And the reason is they sacrifice children and eat them is simply because they do not have any decent fluids themselves. They have no oils, they have no Christ, they have no souls, and they eat souls. Their intention is to drink blood and spinal fluid and secretions from the pineal gland. This is why these children are tortured. There's plenty of evidence. I'm not speaking like a madman here, just out of the blue like that, because there's evidence that the hierarchies of the Christian churches are killers and sacrificers of children. They are murderous, bloodthirsty animals. And pedophile that they protect, pedophilia, is a good, decent sign of that. Hello? If it's not a sign of that, what is it? If they're able to rape little children and destroy their lives, they are able to sacrifice them and eat them and drink their blood, which is what they do, period, regardless of what anyone thinks. Oh, Santos is funny. No, I'm not funny. I only speak truth, not the truth, like the Jehovah's Witnesses. So, wake up, folks. Do your research. They're killers. And people trafficking, guns, armaments, drugs, all of it belongs to them. There's none that doesn't. That's why they drag you into court if you're caught with a plant of marijuana because you did not pay taxes to them. You did not give them control over that plant. They want it. It's their business. They own and control all crime. And because they've labelled marijuana and give it a name rather than its natural name of hemp and cannabis, that now they've made a legality out of a plant whereby they can having one of their legal words, marijuana. So it doesn't wash. It never will wash. And this is this is easy to stop, guys. It's not a hard task. It's just about ignoring them. Every time I ignore these morons, they go away. I've had sheriffs come to the door and I've told them to F off in no uncertain terms. I've had policemen come to my door and I've said, who's got the bond? Where's your bond, idiot? And they've F'd off. I've been to my friend's place when he called me at 7 o'clock in the morning and he had 100 sheriffs out the front of his house and my niece kicked one of the cops in the nuts and he prosecuted her and took her to court. And I was there with my camera. I've got 2 hours of footage, me telling them that they served the Freemasons and Queen Elizabeth who drinks their children's blood. I've got it on camera. I'm telling policemen that, in the street, out loud.
Yeah.
Please stop using that language, Mr. Bonacci. There's children around. I said, look, there's no children around and you guys are big boys. You're going to hear it from my mouth. You guys are mother effing... And this was when I was angry, in my angry days, guys. I don't do this anymore. I treat them with love. But I'm telling you what I got away with 3 years ago by standing up with my camera. I was in their face and I was saying... And I was filming them, and I've kept that video for posterity. If I ever need that, I'll put that out. And I've filmed council officers coming to serve notices on my mother with their fictions, and they came to my mother's house without their bonds. This is the Narre Warren. This is the city of Casey, which is, in Australia, local government is crime. In 1988, we had a referendum, and 63% of Australians in all states said no to local government. So what's the local government sending unbonded foot soldiers of Rome to my mother's door to prosecute my mother? So there's going to be retribution there. And I've been in instances where police have pulled me up on the road and I don't show them license, I show them squat. And they threatened to take me down to the station and threaten. I've never been arrested. Because it's time to stand up and stand up to these monsters and do it in honour.
Yeah, and that's something else too that people need to get. The only power that they have is the power you grant them. And when you start talking about they'll do this to me, who will? Look what your imagination is doing to you. They got you spinning in your imagination, afraid of your own shadow. Oh, I actually got it right. April 2011 was when I set up the account. I just got told that is correct. You got it. Good stuff. This is nuts. Sorry.
Yeah, so
Can
it is they that... Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. All good.
Yeah.
You were breaking up a little bit there, but it seemed to clear up. It was only when you were really getting heavy on the truth that it started cutting up.
Yeah, it's quite possible that it's my headphones too. Anyway, it's they that are approaching you and have the onus and the burden of proof and, probable cause. It is they that are approaching you in the private with public legislation. Whoops. That's unlawful anywhere else in the universe. How can you get away with that on this planet? Who gives them that?
Yeah, that's the thing is, here they are thinking that they can hide on a planet. Sorry, this is a big universe. You can't hide here, and that's what I've been telling everyone. Don't walk around in fear thinking you can hide from anybody. Crazy. Oh, it looks like I might be able to recover my account, so... which will be good because I had like 471 contacts in it. Yeah, So anyway, just to let you know, we got about just over 11 minutes left here. So much for your toothache, Santo. Look at you trooper, getting the truth out through thick and thin, buddy.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in pain. I did my presentation yesterday in pain, and you probably will notice me grimacing a little bit and sort of. Not really high-spirited, but anyway, great information in there, great exposing of crime, and exposing of truth. But I'm going to the dentist in 4 hours' time. I'm going to have to pull this tooth. It's loose. It's one of the back ones, and it's really loose. There's no fixing this one.
No, they were hacking the living shit out of you. So I just got to go and change my account password to reinstate your. Just a sec. You might as well join me on this journey, Santo. So to help reinstate your account, you first need to change your account password to ensure that only you have access to your Skype account. Yeah, no problem. When you confirm that you have successfully changed your password, we can reinstate your account. And I can change my password here. There we go. Look at that. How the hell am I going to do this? I got to sign out of this one. Anyway, yeah. So carry on. I'm just. This is great. I am so awesome, happy about this. This is freaking awesome.
Yep. Fantastic, Kate. We're on the narrow path. Hallelujah. Endure to the end. He that endures to the end is the one that will be saved. Simple what that means. Not the churchgoers in.
I was going to say, you know what my saying is: stand to post, I shall not yield, none shall pass, and I will not yield from that. And if but one shall awaken, there's more than one of us. So this is the good news. We stand fast to the very end, and we hold this ship on course. And all we're asking is for some crew members to, step up to the truth a little bit. That's all. Just do a little bit. Go out and start boxing signatures on notes and checks and everything, just for fun. But that's your intent put into action. We just need you involved. You don't have to go out and be a hero. You don't. You know what? There's so many of us that have already done that. You don't have to do that. That's the joy of this now. It's just about awakening and standing the post. And we're not asking you to guard the whole hilltop here. We're just asking you to maybe, bring a sandwich or something. It's not a big deal.
Exactly. And make the decision to align yourself with the good forces. We know what the good is. Just align yourself with the good. And let our brothers who perished hundreds of years ago in the Dark Ages, the Bogomils, the Huguenots, the Lollards, let them be proud of the legacy they left us. They knew who Rome was, the harlot of Babylon, the prostitute that was prostituting herself with all the kings of the earth and had an empire of commerce, merchants of the high seas, and their vast empire spread across the whole globe. They knew back then. And in northern Italy, southern France, in Spain, there was the Jews in the Middle Ages, there was the Lollards in Scotland, there was the Albigenses and the Cathars. In France, the Waldenses in Italy, the Socinians in Italy, the Polish Brethren. Look these up. Look them up. And just a superficial Wikipedia search and see what was done to the people. The founder of the Socinians, Aelius Socinius, he was present when John Calvin murdered Michael Servetus, the Spanish truth teacher. And of course Calvin had his Calvin church, the prudish imbeciles that used to put people in jail for dancing. Yeah, those creeps. They're still around. And they think John Calvin was some sort of a saviour. He was a dipshit. He was an imbecile and a criminal. And the same goes with Luther. Luther was not a saviour. Not at all. Absolutely not at all. Read what Thomas Paine has to say about Luther. And he said that any reformation that Luther was emptiness. It was just pure emptiness. It had no effect. The Counter-Reformation was even much more devastating than the Reformation. But these are killers. John Calvin had Michael Servetus burned at the stake, and Aelius Socinius, the founder of the Socinians, was watching. And he watched Michael die and utter his last words, just like Giordano Bruno. And he fled to Poland and brought his movement of truth to Poland, and they persecuted them there. But John Calvin denounced him to the Inquisition. Because, why would he do that? Well, because he's a killer. And that's all he is. So, if you belong to the Calvinists, or
they're all monkeys.
They're all morons.
And
it's time to turn your backs on them. The writing's on the wall. Get out of Babylon before it's too late, and it will fall in the twinkling of an eye. It might seem impregnable, but remember old Babylon when good old Darius and Cyrus came along and diverted the waters of Babylon and took the city in the space of about 3 hours. Everybody was dead. This is a historical fact, people. And Babylon she sat on the Euphrates River, and all the merchants went to Babylon, all the ships, and they would open the gates of the Euphrates, and the ships would come in to dock into this great city, Babylon, and bring all their wares and goods and spices. And they were sitting in that city, and they were sitting all pretty and confident that they were secure, because King Belshazzar was a good king, and they had an impregnable city. You could run semi-trailers or trains, steam engines, around their walls. The walls were so thick, protecting and surrounding Babylon, that it was considered to be impregnable. And yet Cyrus managed to divert the waters of the Euphrates into a dam, went under the gates, and killed Belshazzar. Belshazzar saw the writing on the wall hours before, Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. Your kingdom has been weighed in the scales and found wanting. You are dead. And Belshazzar cringed and almost had a heart attack, I believe. But that was the end of First Babylon Mark I. And you look at the Vatican and you see all of its properties and conquest, and it looks pretty impregnable. But guess what? It's going to go down very, very soon, in the twinkling of an eye. And all the idiots that supported her will suffer the same consequences. Time to get out of Babylon, guys. Kate, you might as well finish it off, and I'll save my...
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to wrap up. We got like 3 minutes left here. You know what, Santa, that was awesome. This is one of the things that people have to get. If they can't feel the passion that you deliver with the truth, like, riding that beautiful carrier wave of love, I don't know. And you know that I get real passionate about this stuff as well, and I can't say thank you enough for the work that you've done. They need to get and see your videos. You can go to the YouTube page, which is, you need to get there, and you need to spend some time listening to the seminars that Santo puts his heart and soul into. And you get there on Mr. Astor Theology on the YouTube search, and just get busy. The work is done. All you got to do is sit back and absorb and forget everything you thought was real and everything you thought that you knew, because you don't. And that's just how it works. So, but
and just another little quick one. If you don't know astrology, you really are missing out on 99.9% of who you are. Okay? So I'd be studying it. And as for the fools who, it's from the devil, it's a pseudoscience, let the fool be a fool. It's time to shut the mouths of the fools, guys, with truth. Omnia vincit veritas.
Look at you go. Yeah. So, but anyway, thanks to Santo, and it's always a pleasure to run the board for you. And I'm glad you made it through the full 2 hours. And I know you're in pain, so you know what? It's not like we haven't been through enough, and here you are in tooth pain, the worst kind. Peter has been through it too. What is it with you guys in teeth lately? So a big tip of the hat and a very polite little curtsy for me in gratitude, and the most compassionate love you could ever want to experience is yours from me.
You beauty, Kate. Heaps of love. Take care. We'll talk soon, and you might want to hop on Freedom American Radio, call in, or I'll even get you on perhaps the second half hour or something, since you know Kevin, and we'll have a ball. Let's expose them, the pedophiles.
And I'll be there with you tomorrow night as well if you want me. So there you go. Okay?
Great. Great. Done.
Right. Much love. Well, thank you all for tuning in to Syncretism tonight with Santos Bonacci, the all-star of the holy science, along with so many others that are coming up behind and walking alongside getting this truth out. May you awaken. We're just waiting for you. So much love, safe travels to all, and we will catch you, who knows, tomorrow night. Stay tuned. Much love to you all. Thanks for tuning in to Freedom Reigns Blog Talk Radio. Have a great night. Bye-bye.